All right, what's up, y'all? 2008 Pontiac G6 2.4 Ecotech engine. Um, I just got a problem. I'm pretty sure solved. I was getting a P16. I'm trying to remember 1682 ignition circuit code, and this thing would just die. At a stoplight, it would stop backing out of the driveway the other day, and it just stalled and wouldn't restart. It had happened a couple other times, several times over the past year, but it kind of remedied itself, just started again, so I couldn't really troubleshoot it. So it died in the driveway. Of course, it was 4 below zero this week, and I couldn't work on it. So here this Saturday, warmed up to a balmy 40 degrees. So out in the driveway, I knew it was ignition circuit, and I know there's different fuses and relays. So I was checking fuses. And on the underneath of the fuse cover here, it shows which one's which, and you can do all that. But anyway, these relays here are part of the ignition circuit. And of course, where did I just set that box? I don't know. I'll show you here in a minute. I got to edit this. But so I ordered some new relays. I'm thinking, okay, if it's a bad relay, which is possible, I'm an electrician by trade, and relays do go bad, not often, but it's possible. And this car is 176,000, 5,000 miles now, and 11 years old. It's possible. So got the new relays. I pulled the old ones. I bench tested them. I got continuity through the normally open contact. Well, relays can also be intermittent. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put the new ones in and see. So when I put the other ones back in, I didn't notice it the first time. When I put these in, you always want to make sure, let me get a better focus, apologize for that. I wanted to make certain these were all seated right. So after I pulled the fuses I thought would be part of the ignition circuit, they all continuity test. You always want to continuity test them, just don't do a visual. Get a meter and check their zero resistance, 0 ohms. They're all good. I pulled these relays out, the old ones, tested them, they're good. Well, anyway, I'm like, you know what? I got these new ones. Let me put it in. Maybe the coil's not making all the time with, I don't know. So I put them in, and I'm feeling this, and you always want to feel. And this one here is really loose. I've never changed any of these relays ever. We bought the car with 25,000 miles, and I'm like, that's kind of odd. So I told my wife to get in the car and try to start it. So she's trying to start it. It wouldn't start. So I said, okay, do it again. And then I wiggled this. Guess what? Boom. Started right up. And it was running. Guess what? It was running. I went like this. It stalled. That's part of your run circuit. So if it's running, even after it started, this being loose in the socket will also cause it to stall. So how do we fix this? Unfortunately, I got to pull this top part, this bolts down. There's these 4 bolts here, and I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to label all these different relays and take pictures and all that, so I know what goes where. I should be able to leave them in and just unbolt this and pull this whole thing right off. I'll show you here in a minute. I think I'm going to do this today. Maybe I'll get it in the morning. I don't know, but either way, I'm going to have to order this. I'm more than certain because these sockets are permanent to the bottom of this. I'd done this in a O2 Trailblazer years ago. I had the same kind of problem with a multitude of things. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can unbolt these and pull this off. I'm going to have to take this apart and go from there. Obviously, before I start any of this troubleshooting, you always want to troubleshoot your batteries. Make sure they're good. You're not going to have a bad connection. Your grounds. I cleaned up the grounds last summer. Kind of not explaining this in exact sequence of events, but I cleaned all these up last summer. They were a little corroded, but I don't know. Cleaned them up, but the thing was intermittent, so I never really had the problem happen again. And I'm like, okay, so in December it happened at a light, started again, and it's just this bad, this thing ain't making, boom, you're dead in the water. Another thing I'm going to do is I got a new cable. I've seen other G6 videos where this cable, as you can see, I cannot get this any tighter than this. Look, came right off. I ordered a new one. I'm going to take all this off anyway. I just pulled right out. That's as tight as I could get this thing. So I ordered a new one off Amazon. I'm going to put it on so it crept down tighter. I don't know if over time, the positive, this always been tight. This negative, no matter how hard I tighten it, it would not be a secure connection. So I ordered a new one of these. I'm going to replace this. I'm going to pull this off. Probably clean these up after I pull them. And we'll go from there, but that sure seems like the problem because it sure just cut off again. I mean, if there's another problem along with this, that'd be quite the coincidence. But this is definitely, look at it. I mean, you can't make it seat. That's just done. So I'm gonna pull this off and then I'll keep the video going. But this is these cars have big time ignition issues, and a lot of times, sometimes it can be the ECM, it can be a ground, it can be bad connections. I've looked at all the videos, you probably have too. But I'm telling you, when you're ever troubleshooting, start with the basics. You don't have to dig into computers and swap out ECUs or PCMs or whatever. All the different manufacturers have different names. Start with the main things. Check your grounds, check your fuse, make sure it's seated properly. You know, you don't want to go to starting out changing out ignition switches, and that's a pain in the ass if you've looked at any of those videos. Your grounds, there's not a whole lot of them. Just follow this cable. You got one up here. I mean, there's under the hood anyway. There's this one. There's two up in here. There's one down here, which has a few on it. Pull those off, clean them up. You know, start with bad grounds can be as bad of a problem as a bad hot, you know. So I'll pull this off and we'll go from there. See? Okay, before I get any farther, I want to show you guys what this is doing. So I'm going to wiggle this here once the wife starts it, and then I'll show you how we start. Go ahead and try to start, babe. Okay. Okay, watch this. Go ahead, do it again. See? See? This is... Try it again. See, it's clicking like crazy. This is a bad connection. That's never mind. So
yeah, well, you want me to give you gas like before?
No, it's I don't want to mess with it anymore. We know it's that. I was going to show you how it stalls, but see, it's doing what it was doing before. It's just not seating in there. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and pull this off now and see what all I got to order here. I don't think I can fix it, but if so, I'll see what I can do. But I'll show you what underneath of that looks like. Alrighty, to do this, I want to show you a couple things. So first of all, see I have part of the way out. To get this 7mm socket, these 4 bolts, this top of this 2, where did it go there? I put them back in here. One's here for this fuse. That also is part of that. Actually, you know, I needed to take it out just to be able to get the thing to roll. So first pull your battery. The clamp, hey, there's a dog still in the car. My dog thinks we're going somewhere, so he's in the car. When we try to start it, he's still in the car. And hold on, dog. I think that's 12, maybe 15. I don't know. That's the clamp that holds it down. Pull your battery. Always pull. Anytime you're messing with this stuff, take your positive, negative off. Also, that negative needs a shim. I couldn't get the new one to tighten either. That new, I just put my new cable on. And I'll show you here real quick. In case you don't know, because I didn't. These newer batteries, and I don't think the original was like this, the post positive is larger than negative. And I think they do this, obviously. I know they do this so you don't mess it up and hook it up backwards. But the negative old clamp that's original on the car, I don't think was probably made for a smaller post. I could be wrong. Looks like I need a shim to go between the post and that clamp because I can't get the Titan. I'm sure I can get that any parts store or online. Anyway, over here. So after you take these, you unloosen these, they won't come all the way out. Loosen them up. Down in here, I started to pull these off. When I was pulling this, there's harnesses that clip on underneath. There's down in here, these here, straight slot screwdriver down below these other clips help, look at that, pulls that out. So these clamps I do need to change out what I got to change. But to get this out of this whole plastic enclosure with the battery and the fuse block sits in, I had to undo those there and on this side. Now that I got that, I can roll it over and separate this here, which has all these different, all the different wiring harnesses coming and plug into this fuse block. So this fuse block, I'm going to look online, I'm going to order it, get a new one, and also my shim for my battery. That should be it. I'm hoping to solve this problem. Because like I said, this fuse, this relay here, fuse block, relay block, I can't remember the exact name for this stupid thing, but I'll tell you when I find it again online. But this whole thing needs changed out to be able to remedy this issue. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this apart. Maybe I'll take a couple pictures. I can't do this one-handed. But I just want to show you these clips here, pull this apart. But first you got to get down in here between to release this so you can actually roll this thing out of the way. But you got to have the battery out to do it. Let's pull your battery first. So I'm going to get this part and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so as I'm doing this here, I'll show you. I was wrong on my one assessment. You really don't need to undo these first 7mm bolts to get this thing rolled. You need to undo these clips, but these do need to be undone because underneath there, these, and I just labeled 1, 2, 3, 4 top to bottom as actually back to the, just, they're not gonna, I mean, you can see they're not gonna get mixed up because the harness is only so long anyway. But that actually holds, it seats these in to this whole fuse block. And you're thinking, hey, these are the fuses coming through. They're not. This is all underneath here, a whole another set of circuit boards and bus, we'll call them bus lines, because these aren't the actual tabs coming from the fuses and the relays. That's a whole nother beast inside here. This is the whole thing that has to get replaced. Anyway, undo these 7mm. You can see they go pretty far in here. They screw into there. So you have to undo them. And then take your little screwdriver, kind of gently pry and pull out. Make sure this is loose all the way though, because if not, it ain't coming out. So I'm going to continue finishing this. I'll show you. Alrighty, here she is. Got the last one out. Some of your larger fuse blocks. This one, terminal shafts. That's it. All unbolted. And here she is. Let me set her over here so we can get a good look at her. And rather cluttered workbench. So you can see, well, the relays are still in, the fuses. So I got to order this whole block. Like I said, don't think that when you look through there, this is what you're seeing come out the bottom, because you're not. When I tip this up, this is all different bus lines and such. So this needs replaced. It's all one piece. Only no way to take it apart and deal with it. So it looks like we got a part number here on the end. 3023, Hincha in Mexico. And that's it. It looks like there's another part number here. Let's see here. 161372917. I don't know. I'll start researching it and figure out where I can get one of these bad boys. Hopefully not too pricey. I don't want to get used one. I probably could go to a pull apart or something, but why would I replace? I mean, it's going to be just as used as this one. You think about it, these things have been in here for 11 years, and like anything, it just wears out. Bad connection right there. So, I'll continue the video whenever I get the new one here. Hopefully not too long, because I need my car back. All right, I'll be back. Okay, plan B. Had to pound these out of my original one. Flip it over. Preferably get like a hole like this so you can set the what's sticking out and then pound it through. Now I can take it apart. Alright, so we're going to fast forward here a few days. So, I ended up trying to find one online, a new one. None of the Rock Auto, nobody carries this. Nobody. It's either a dealer item or you got to get a used one. I called GM dealer. They wanted $363 for a brand spanking new fuse block. I said, I actually laughed and hung up. But anyway, so I thought, okay, well, I better look around for a replacement one. So there's a pull apart, not too far from my house, about a half hour. They had about 8 Pontiac G6s with various engine sizes. Different years and some 2.4s, some V6s. So anyway, said, well, you know what? As much as I don't want to get a used one, let's see if I can go on there and find one of the sockets all feel good. So me and the wife drove out there and ended up finding this one, which, until I took all these fuses out and relays, and I'll tell you about this, looked identical, looked exactly identical side by side, other than then this one had one more relay and 2 fuses more than this one did. The number you want to look for if you're looking for one, if you had to get a new one, is the 4 digits there. 3024 is the one I found at the yard. This is 2588. Hold on. 2588-3024. Okay, mine is the one came off my vehicle is 2588-3023. So, tried to find this one. None of them had it. Closest one was this. Exact year, exact engine. The only other option this car in the junkyard had, other than mine, actually had a few fog lamps. So I had the relay for the fog lamps, the fuse, and it had a battery sensor that went around the battery cables. That's it. So I'm thinking, okay, everything looks pretty identical. Possibly this could also do what this one does, because it has everything, but in addition to that, it also has the relay I don't need and the fuse. So what if I just put this one in? So, long story short, I put it in, it didn't work. I verified everything, went through, checked all the fuses and relays, and still didn't work. So, can't really find anything online that you have to have the exact same one. I'm of the thinking, like back in the day, they would build these boards all for every possible option, and it was up to the wiring harnesses they brought in underneath that whether or not you got that option and put the fog lights on or whatever else you may have. Apparently that's not the case. So, took this one back out, put this one back in, connected everything back up, had my wife start the engine over, and I moved the relay like before, started right up. Okay, so there's something in that board that doesn't jive with this board. So now what am I going to do? I don't want to pay $363 at the dealer for this, so I decide I'm going to find out how to tear this thing apart. So through more YouTube research, I found a couple videos where a couple gentlemen did just that. I think one was on a Trailblazer, another one was on a Malibu. But you could flip this over when this is all together. And remember the 7mm are popping through here. You flip them over underneath, and you make sure you have it on a good surface. And it took a little doing. I have a pretty good bench, and I got them to pop through. And what it did is, so this has like a little flare to keep it, when they press this in there, keeps this block from coming apart. And it just holds this bolt in there. So anyway, once you get it done, I just put this on and I just kind of grinded it down on a sanding disc just to take that lip off so I could get it through again when I put this back together. So anyway, I did that, took it all apart. So looking in here where this relay was, I kind of circled it. And what I found, and I'm going to see, hopefully, let's see if my wonderful video editing skills, which I haven't done in a while, I can right now insert a picture of what I took the picture of, how this looked before I fixed it. So what happened, what I did was, this prong here and this prong here were pried open, right? And let's see, right now, I'm putting a picture up, hopefully. If not, then apparently my editing didn't work. Showing you what I did and how they were apart. Just took a small pair of pliers and squeezed them back together. Not a whole lot to this. I mean, this, pardon my unsteady hands right now, trying to do all this. But this just seats in there just like that. That's it. So there's not a whole lot of play. I mean, obviously when it goes through this and then seats in there. And it was open enough to where it was barely making contact. So squeeze them back together and see how it goes. I don't know if maybe, I've never had this relay out before all this happened. And the car was a year and a half, 2 years old when we bought it. I doubt anybody else did. Over the time, heat, vibration of the road, I don't know, 175,000 miles, almost 11 years. Who knows? Why didn't any of the other ones? I have no idea. Usually what happens, and if you found the videos, usually what happens is these wires break. This is just a 20 gauge solid copper wire. And there's a couple videos where a guy did a good video where he was getting the same code and it was broke like in where this copper like elbow the 90 is. And cold weather, his whatever, I can't remember if it was this or if it was a wiper or whatever, would work. When it heated up, it would open apart. Anyway, he replaced that wire. I don't see any bad wires. I looked at this pretty good. I only see the one socket that I know was bad. And I already had this back together just temporarily, and the socket goes in and feels very snug. So I'm gonna go with that. I really can't do much else. It is what it is. A brand new one is gonna be the same way as this, maybe less fatigued. This doesn't look bad on the inside, but obviously we had an issue. Now I'll just know if it happens again where to start looking. So anyway, I'm gonna put this back together and prep it and get it back in the start reassembling it and go from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this back together, and we'll continue from there. All right, you can see right here. Those are spread apart. The relay's not sitting in it. It's not seating all the way. Back connection. Alright, so right here. It's not even making a connection sometimes. Squeeze that back together. Alright, about 15 minutes later, you can hear she's running. I'm going to put everything back in, repopulated the fuses, making the relays, making sure everything is where it should be. Started right up. That was the bad relay socket. In fact, I put a new relay in there just in case another one is getting hot from arcing so much. So this is one I got online. $8. I'm fine with that. All I got invested in this is $8 minus my $16 for this this one here. Probably put on eBay. I don't know if it's good or not, but someone might be able to use it. 3024. So we'll monitor this. If you got that issue with that P1682, I believe it is. I've had so many numbers in my head recently. Don't look too deep. Start with the simple stuff. Don't go replacing ignition modules and this engine computer and all that crap. Start with the basic stuff. Make sure you got a good battery. Check the grounds. Two here, two there. Or one there. One up here. Look around and make sure connections are good. Look for pinch wires, stuff like that. And fuse blocks, which are known to go bad in GNCs. You can see there's not a whole lot there. Vibration. I'm really surprised it hasn't happened before. So hopefully this video helped you out. And if anything else arises, I'll update the video or in the comments. And see you.